It's an AEW tier list for the 2019 year, and we start it now on the Square Circle Psychobabble. Hello and welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti. For news, reviews, and unbiased conversation in pro wrestling, subscribe and hit that bell for notification. So, another year in the books for professional wrestling, and the first year for All Elite Wrestling. And there's this whole tier list thing that's going on now on the internet. Cultaholic did something like that. So I figured we could do something like it as a rebuttal to what they thought. So we're going to start with the singles division here, the men's singles division. And our 5 tiers are going to be Elite, which is the best of the best. Dynamite, which is good. Don't mind them on a weekly basis. Okay. Dark is, I needed to see more of them before I could truly judge. And Undesirable is, I've seen enough, they could be getting rid of. And the criteria for this is they must have had 2 singles matches in AEW, and they must be recognized on the AEW website to be a part of the roster. So now that we got that all set, let's start with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, Le Champion, first AEW champion, the youngest AEW champion, without question. He is in the elite level. I know some people might say his wrestling is not up to snuff with some of these guys, but without him, AEW doesn't exist, I don't think.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. So the one thing that I stress all the time on this show is, yes, it is wrestling. We like what we see in the ring, and it's not all about wrestling. If you go back and look at some of the largest stars in professional wrestling history, many of them were not considered the best technical wrestler. Chris Jericho has certainly been at a point where he was probably considered one of the best wrestlers, in-ring performers in the world. Those days have certainly passed him. Now, he's been able to perform at a high level in the ring still. He still gets the psychological part of the matches. He can still tell a story, as we've seen with his matches with Cody. Yeah, I mean, it's hands down. This guy's elite. Without him, where would AEW be? I mean, he's really been the guy that's kind of carried this company, in my opinion, who's been able to draw eyes to the screen, reinvent himself, not only with this new character that he's taking on this year in AEW, but just week after week after week, whether it's a Le Champion or whether it's the Bubble,
yep,
all that stuff. So he certainly is elite to me.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to Adam Hangman Page. This one I think is a little tough because I think AEW wanted him to be the poster boy, the top guy in AEW, and he loses to Jericho at All Out to be the first AEW champion. But ever since TV started, he really hasn't been booked as a top guy. So I don't even know if I could really put him at the Dynamite level. I might have to put him at okay.
Yeah, and you know, I've talked about this before. He's kind of generic. I mean, the whole cowboy persona works to a certain extent, but first of all, you got to think of it this way. How many people in the world right now can actually relate to that character, like actually relate to the cowboy character? Probably not many. Now, he certainly may portray that kind of character well, but he could take it to different levels. And I talked about relating this to how Cowboy Cerrone uses the same persona, but he talks about all the crazy shit he does on the weekends. He talks about how he drinks beer and does all that stuff. All of those things are much more relatable than actually just trying to be like, well, I'm a cowboy. You know, it's not relatable. Right. People can't get behind him. He certainly hasn't been, the best guy on their roster. So I think I actually agree with you. I think that he has a ton of potential. He has a lot of talent, but there's just something that's not clicking. And supposedly he's going to turn heel, so I guess we'll see what happens with that. But right now, I agree. I don't think he's certainly at the top 2 tier levels just yet.
Right. So maybe in 2020, if we do this again, he might get up to that Dynamite or even elite level. But right now, he's just okay. Next up, Brandon Cutler. He's a jobber. He's good at what he does. So I wouldn't say undesirable. I wouldn't say dark because I think I have enough to know where he is. But for what he does, he's okay.
Yeah, he just does purpose. I mean, you need guys like this on your roster, so
exactly
that's what it is.
All right, next up, Christopher Daniels of SCU. I believe one of 2 for SCU that we're going to be doing here. I know a lot of people are talking about his botch right now in his match with Pentagon, but he's had some good matches. The match with Pentagon, other than that botch, was a pretty decent match. His match with Cima at Fyter Fest was pretty good. So from a single standpoint, I think he is good. Not quite Dynamite level yet, so I'm going to put him at okay as well.
Yeah, and we're just talking strictly on his singles competition performance. So I agree. I think he's okay. If we were to talk about tag teams, I'd put him more at the Dynamite level. So, I think that okay is a good spot for him.
All right, next up, Cima. Cima, he's, again, like I said, had a good match with Christopher Daniels. His match at Fight for the Fallen with Kenny Omega has been good, but he hasn't been on TV. He has not been on Dynamite since it went on air on October 2nd, I don't think. I know he's had a couple matches on Dark, some tag teams, some singles matches. So for right now, I'm actually going to put him in the Dark level. I think we still need to know exactly what we need to. I think we still need to know a little bit more from Cima before we can fully judge him. I don't want to put him at okay because I think in-ring wise, he might be better than okay.
Yeah.
But I think I still need to see more from Cima.
And that's the distinction here. So we just haven't seen enough of him yet at a high level to really make a determination on how we feel about him. I mean, what he's done so far in his limited role has been good or okay. But I agree. I think Dark's a good spot for him. I'd like to see more from him. I don't think to date he's actually been on Dynamite. So he's been on Dark. He's been on, Fight for the Fallen and all of those things. But I think Dark is a good spot for him.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Cody Rhodes. I think without, same thing with Jericho. Without him, AEW doesn't exist. You got to put him at the elite level without question.
Agree. 100%. Whether it's been promos, in-ring work, just what he's been able to do this year has been amazing. So elite for sure.
Yep. Up next is Darby Allin, who I would have thought would be undesirable when I first looked at him, but got to tell you, this guy has really been at least at the Dynamite level.
Yeah, I mean, they've really done a good job promoting him as far as booking. It's not been to the point where he's overly saturated, and that's probably because he's not on the show every week, even though people enjoy seeing him every time he's on the show.
Yeah.
He's been booked pretty strong, which is strange to say because he hasn't necessarily won one of the bigger of his matches in Cody or against Moxley, but he's looked really good in those defeats, and he's definitely somebody that the crowd can get behind. So he's somebody that I think has a lot of potential, but he's also delivering right now in the ring.
Yeah. So I think it goes without question here. He's at least better than okay.
Oh, for
definitely,
sure. Yeah.
What I would say Dynamite. Would you put him at elite?
I wouldn't put him at that point yet because he is still missing that one big win. Now, does he perform every time he goes out there? Yes. Has he had some really good matches? Yeah. His match with Cody was very good. His match against Moxley was also very good. But he hasn't necessarily won a match against a high-level guy just yet.
True.
They may be building towards that with Cody. I do think he will eventually get those wins, and I think that he's somebody that will certainly be in the title picture at some point throughout 2020. I don't think he's at that level quite yet, but the Dynamite level, that's where I would put him. That's where I think he's rightfully fits in.
So Dynamite?
That's where I have him.
Dynamite for Darby Allin. Perfect. So moving on. This one, I didn't even realize he had 2 singles matches, let alone 3 singles matches. And that's Jack Evans. Mm-hmm. So I believe all his matches in singles competition have been on Dark. I know his match with Kenny Omega for the AAA Mega Championship was on Dark. I know he had a triple threat match on Dark with Peter Avalon and I think Kip Sabian was the third guy. I can't even remember. With that said, I'm going to have to put him at Dark right now. Yeah. I don't know too much about him as a singles wrestler. I know I've seen a lot of him from Hybrid 2, and we'll talk about him with Hybrid 2 later on in a different episode, but I'm going to say Dark for now.
Yeah, agree.
Jimmy Havoc's up next, and I think this is where we start throwing in that undesirable tag. Personally, I like the gimmick. I like his deal. However, we already have a couple guys that already throw their bodies and sacrifice a lot, use, death match weapons and props or whatever. He just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and he's not really sticking out to me. So with that, unfortunately, he's going to be in the undesirable tag to me.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm not really a big fan of his. I don't see what all the fuss was, especially even when they first signed him. I mean, he's able to go out there and perform. I'll give him credit for that. But I'm at the end of the day, this, like I said, it has to pass the eye test. You can't really convince me that some non-wrestling fan is going to turn on their TV and be compelled by seeing him in a wrestling match. He looks like he rolled out of bed. He looks like he came out of a 9-day binge. No, I'm sorry. Go away.
Yeah. All right. So our first undesirable is Jimmy Havoc. Next up, Joey Janela. I'm going to let you go first on Joey.
So he's another one. He certainly doesn't pass the eye test. He doesn't look like, yeah, he's a professional wrestler, but if you were to look at him and you gave somebody like 5 guesses, most people wouldn't say professional wrestler. He just doesn't have that physical appearance. Now, I've actually liked some of the stuff he's done. I don't think he's the greatest technical wrestler in the world, but he tries and he does good and he has good his match against Omega was good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. It was all right? Some of the other stuff he's
with
done.
Moxley's been good too.
Yeah, and his stuff with Shawn Spears and even some of the promos he cut have been pretty good. I know going into his first match with Moxley, he cut a really good promo on being the Elite. So I'm going to say he's okay. He does his thing. He's not on a weekly basis. It's not like when he has a match or he's on TV, I automatically change the channel. So he serves his purpose. It's not like he's being pushed as a top level guy. He's in like the championship picture. So he's a serviceable individual. He's okay.
I actually want to put him at the Dynamite level.
That high up? Really?
Yeah, I actually do. I mean, he's not exactly a bodybuilder look, and we know the joke of jelly Nutella and all that stuff, but the guy just
dumpy pant load.
Right. He just keeps impressing me more and more and more as he goes on TV. And I mean, he is somewhat working on his physique. I don't think he's ever going to have a 6-pack or whatever, but he has looked leaner since AEW started.
It's not a necessity, but like I said, it has to at least pass the eye test. And he's like right in between. It's not like AEW is stacked with these Goliaths, Right. So it works.
And
he's a decent wrestler.
I do like his theme song. I think he might have the best theme song out of all the entrances so far. So I might put him at the Dynamite level. So I don't know. Do we put him at Dynamite? Do we put him at okay?
I know there's going to be one person we're going to disagree on, and I'm going to make a strong case for it. So I'll let you put him wherever you want because I'm not going to back down on the other one.
All right. Joey Janela is going to go to Dynamite. So Dynamite for Joey Janela. And that's actually interesting because we have him going higher than Hangman Page right now. Would you actually...
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
Joey Janela, Hangman Page, it's all the same because, Hangman Page has certainly been pushed better and put in higher profiled matches, but it just hasn't really clicked.
True. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Jon Moxley, who I think is the, other than Cody Rhodes, the most over guy in AEW. Yeah. How can you not put this guy at Elite?
I certainly agree. Elite. He's got the badass character. He's got the badass attitude. It works. He's in New Japan Pro Wrestling working matches. And wherever he goes, he's putting on good matches ever since he's left WWE. He's
cutting
elite.
Awesome promos. Yeah. It just works. So definitely Elite for Jon Moxley. After that, Jungle Boy. I know he's 0-8-1.
Yeah.
But I like his character. I like that they're finally including his dad into his character. I liked what they did with him before the Jericho match, that video package, the interview. I really like what I'm seeing with Jungle Boy. I just wish he was booked a little better and actually win some matches here. Mm-hmm. If he was booked a little better, I might actually put him at the Dynamite level. But, someone with an 0-8 record can't be Dynamite at this level.
I think he's definitely, I might want to consider him at the dark level. I only say that because Luchasaurus was hurt.
Yeah.
For a good portion of at least their TV time. So it wasn't like they were pushed as a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at what he's done in his singles competition. He hasn't been booked really well or strong. Now, the past couple weeks, or 2 to 3 weeks, he's been pushed, and it looks like they're going to do something with him. But over the course of a year, I don't think that's a big enough body of work to really consider him at those higher levels. But I would like to certainly see more of him. So I'm going to say... For right now, I'd put him at dark just because I want to see more from him.
Okay.
He's good. I know he's got a lot of talent, but I just need to see more, I think.
Mm-hmm. But, we put a guy like Brandon Cutler at okay, but he does what he does. We know what we are going to get from him. But I think I understand what you're saying with this. So I'm okay with putting Jungle Boy at dark here.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that he's worse than Baron Cutler, but I think that it's just he's got a lot more potential.
Exactly. You know what you're getting out of Cutler. He's not going to get pushed as like even an upper mid card guy. He's probably going to lose a good majority of the matches he ever works on Dynamite. Now, Jungle Boy has a lot of potential. We just haven't seen enough of what they're going to do with that potential, or even if he can handle anything beyond a tag team role. Can he thrive and do singles competition week in, week out? He could, but he could also suck. You don't know yet because you haven't really seen it on a weekly basis.
Right.
So yeah, I want to see more of him. He's got the potential. It's there. The story's there. The look, all that stuff. Let's see what happens.
All right. Yeah. So moving on, I think this is the guy that you're talking about. Kenny Omega.
It is.
Where are you putting him?
He's okay. He's okay. I mean, he should be performing at the Dynamite to the elite level. But if you're trying to convince me, look, when you talk about professional wrestling, there's a couple of things that matter more than in-ring ability. You have to be able to draw. You have to be able to draw heat. You have to be able to get cheered, all that type of stuff. Now, Kenny Omega is by far one of, hands down, the best professional wrestlers in the world. But if you're going to sit here and try and convince me that his time with AEW has been knocked out of the park and that he's been this huge draw for them, I would challenge anybody on that, because he hasn't been. Chris Jericho has been. Cody Rhodes has certainly exceeded all expectations with what he's done. Kenny Omega coming into AEW was supposed to be one of their cornerstones, the guy that was supposed to be a huge draw because he had this big following from Japan. Now, you could point to the ratings. Their ratings have been good. Their viewership has been good.
Except last week.
Well, that's going to happen. But it's not like people are pointing to him and saying, like, he's the draw. He's the guy to see. He's the main event. He's there. He hasn't had many memorable matches. I mean, he's probably, he should be. He's had great matches against the Okadas of the world, and that was the big thing going into AEW, Tanahashi. I don't know if he's had a top, like, if you would say to me, hey, what are some of the best matches of the year? I don't think Kenny Omega comes into that conversation.
I know some people like to throw his match with Moxley at Full Gear, but we know there's a lot of controversy behind that match.
It was a good match.
Yeah. I mean, his match with Cima was good.
They're forgettable, though.
I don't know if I would say forgettable. They're good matches.
When you're supposed to be that good.
I'm not saying, like, I agree with you that the way that he's been booked and the matches that he's had haven't been quite elite level. I'll agree with you on that.
Exactly.
I don't know if I would put him down to okay. I think Dynamite is a better level for him right now.
The reason I don't want to put him at that level is because I look at his talent and I look at all the hype behind, and it's not really hype. It's proven. He's been proven to work at a high level. Now his in-ring work has been, let's just say it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great, but it's very good. Now, this is a guy that has been considered the best professional wrestler in the world, and by all rights, he's earned that title as the best bout machine. He's earned all of that.
Right.
His work that he's done in AEW since he's been there, to me, has just been, it's all right. It's not anything that's knocked out of the park. Is he capable of being elite or even at the Dynamite level? Absolutely. He should be there. He should be at that level. But when you look at how he's been booked, and we have to consider that because all the fans know, if you're a new fan, all you see is what's been presented to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a brand new fan watching AEW and you've heard all the hype, but you don't know anything outside of AEW as to what Kenny Omega did, you're just making your determination based on what you've seen this far. And this far, he's not had some of the best matches of the year by any stretch of the imagination. They've been good to very good, but not what he's been delivering in the past years. So to me, yeah, he should be at the Dynamite level. Yeah, he should be at the elite level. But when I watch AEW week in and week out, I'm just like, well, look at this past week. He opened the show without even getting an entrance, which I know, okay, I guess
a lot of them didn't get entrances this past week.
But if you're that big of it, if you're Kenny Omega and you're that big of a deal, you should get your own entrance. You should feel more important than the guys like whoever, the guys that are beneath you on the card. And then he closed the show getting beat up by the Dark Order. So to me, that's like, it's partly where he's booked and how he's booked. And then it's also partly, I know where his level of performing is at and he hasn't been delivering that this year. So how can I put him at those upper tier levels if he's not performing to that level?
So do you think because of what we know prior to AEW, what we've seen from AEW, and the fact that I think there's more to see before we rank him, maybe he needs to go to dark?
And I think that's fair too. But I think that if your nickname is literally the best bout machine, you better damn well prove that you're the best wrestler in the world week in and week out. And I can't confidently say he's done that in AEW. Can he do it? Yes. Has he done it? Yes. Is he one of the best wrestlers in the world? Without question. But I need to see him perform at that level in AEW. And I can't sit here and tell you guys that I've seen that from him this year.
Yeah.
If you want to put him at dark, I'm more than comfortable doing that. But I don't think from what he's done this year, he belongs in the top tier of in Dynamite or Elite.
So,
and I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, and I know that's controversial.
So basically, if we put him anything below Dynamite, we're saying Joey Janela has been better than Kenny Omega.
But it comes to, are you working at your level, above your level, or beneath your level? Kenny Omega, if you're one of the best wrestlers in the world based on what I've seen this year, he's not performing at the same level that he was performing at outside of AEW. And I think most people would probably agree with that. I mean, his matches with Tanahashi, with whoever, with
Okada, Naito,
those are some of the best matches ever. I mean, you could show people that 20 years from now and be like, watch this match. That's an all-time great match. Now, do those matches happen all of the time? No, they shouldn't, but it shouldn't be where you're like, okay, this guy is really good, and then you show somebody a match and they're just like,
yeah,
you know?
Right. I don't know. Maybe okay is where we need to put him right now. And maybe next year he could be at Elite. It's the same thing with Hangman, I think. They're at the same level. It's like these guys should be the top, but they're not there. So maybe you're right. Maybe okay is where he needs to go. So I'll let you win this one. He's going to okay for this year. Next up is Kip Sabian. I like Kip Sabian. I'm going to put him at dark, though, because I think I still need to see a little bit more from Kip Sabian. Yes, he won the first ever singles match in AEW. Yes, he's had some good matches with, Kenny Omega and, others, but I want to see more from him before I can actually put him at a Dynamite or even okay. So right now I'll put him at dark.
I agree.
Okay. Luchasaurus up next. Probably the most over guy in the mid card.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to put him at Dynamite yet because he's only had 2 singles matches.
And he was hurt. I think dark is probably another good spot for a guy like him because he was hurt and haven't seen much from him.
Right. So yeah, we'll put him at dark for now, at least from a singles wrestler standpoint. Up next, MJF. This one I think is a lot harder because his promo is elite.
Mm-hmm.
His wrestling is dark because I haven't seen enough of his wrestling.
Yeah.
So where do we meet in the middle? Put him at okay?
No, I think he's definitely above okay. The problem with him, I think, is he just started his singles run.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew he was going to turn on Cody. It was only a matter of time. Now, what the small sample set that we've seen of him has been great, elite, but it's a short body of work. I think right now Dynamite is probably a good spot for him. I think that if we have the same conversation next year, assuming he still is the most hated heel, which, in today's professional wrestling, to actually get booed as a heel rather than he turned heel, cheer him, the Seth Rollins effect, all that type of stuff. I think that's definitely impressive. I think he's great on the mic. Ring-wise, I don't even know if that matters so much. He actually works more of an old school style. He doesn't rely on dives and flips and all that type of stuff. I think Dynamite right now is kind of where he needs to be.
I agree.
Next
Dynamite.
year, I think that we'll be having the same conversation and he will be in that elite stature, but...
Right. All right, so yeah, we'll put him at Dynamite. Next is a guy that definitely is going to the elite. Straight up. Past Jericho, past Omega, past Jon Moxley. He's definitely number one on everyone's heart. Michael Nakazawa. I can't believe he's actually had more than 2 singles matches in AEW.
Wow.
But he has. But yeah, I think this guy is probably, if there's anyone that deserves to be undesirable, it's Michael Nakazawa.
I agree.
I mean, I know people like him, but the baby oil thing, Why is he there? I mean, yeah, he's Cody's friend. Maybe just use him in storylines as, oh, he's Cody's friend, and that's it. You can't use him in the ring if he's going to keep using baby oil. I'm sorry, but Undesirable?
Undesirable as they get, yeah.
All right. Next is PAC. PAC is another one where he should be booked much stronger than he has been. Yeah. I might have to put him at okay for now. I don't know. Yeah, maybe Dynamite? I mean, he's a really good promo.
His ring work has been good.
I mean, he hasn't had a bad match. His match with Hangman on the first episode of Dynamite could have been better, but every match that he's had has been good.
Yeah.
The fact that his match with Omega on like 6 days notice was good for the lack of notice. Maybe I think PAC should go to Dynamite right now. I put PAC at Dynamite.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not like he's being booked as the top heel.
Right.
He's booked strongly to a certain extent. At least he was for a couple of weeks. He hasn't given me a reason to say, he just isn't doing that well. I think Dynamite's a
Dynamite
for him.
Yeah, so Dynamite for PAC. Next up, Pentagon Jr., and this is just as a singles wrestler, not a tag team. I like Pentagon. Coming into AEW, I was saying that he was arguably the best luchador in the world. Some people might actually disagree and say that it's his brother, and we'll talk about him later. I would say with Pentagon, I'm going to go okay right now. Maybe even dark, because we haven't seen enough of him as a singles wrestler to really judge him. And it's unfair to use his prior to AEW accolades to say, oh, he definitely deserves to be elite. This is strictly just what he's done in AEW. His match with Christopher Daniels was good. I wouldn't necessarily say, oh my God, match of the year. So maybe okay for Pentagon.
Yeah, I agree. Another guy that we kind of have to see a little bit more of. But as a singles competitor, that's not supposed to be as strong. So he's a tag team guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think okay is fair.
Right. Okay. Moving on. Peter Avalon, the librarian. I like it. Out of all like the jobbers, I actually like him the most. I don't think he's undesirable. He does get a reaction from the crowd.
So you want to put him where okay?
I'll put him at okay.
That's fair.
Maybe from a jobber standpoint, maybe even Dynamite. From a jobber standpoint, but
he does his job. I guess he does it well, but I don't want to put him any higher than okay.
Yeah, because if we put him at Dynamite and Kenny Omega at okay, that would blow up the internet. But okay for Peter Avalon. Rey Fenix up next. Now, Rey Fenix has had his fair share of good singles matches as well. I think we, like Pentagon, we know he's more of a tag team guy than a singles guy. However, I think what we've seen from him as a singles might elevate him into the Dynamite level instead of the okay level or the dark level. His match with Nick Jackson was really good, I thought. So I would, I think Rey Fenix needs to go to Dynamite. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's another one. He doesn't work a lot of singles competition, but he has been very good. I think that even if you want, and I know we're just talking about AEW, but if you did want to consider his match with Kenny Omega, that was probably Kenny's best match of the year off the top of my head, and that was probably the best singles match I've seen from Phoenix this year as well as the singles competitor. So, yeah, if you want to put him there, I think that's fair.
Dynamite for Rey Fenix? Yeah. All right. Next up, Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara. If we're putting Rey Fenix at Dynamite, I think we have to put Sammy Guevara at Dynamite as well.
Well, he's a guy that kind of came from out of nowhere. I mean, he was really as generic as it came. He was just a young guy that came out, made some stupid faces, and fans didn't know how to react. But ever since he was brought into the inner circle and he really started to gain confidence week in and week out, I think he's performed at the Dynamite level.
Yeah, and his match with Cody was awesome. He's had some really good matches. I know a lot of people will look to his botch in the Young Bucks tag team match, but that wasn't his fault. That was Camera Works' fault for making it look like such a stupid botch. But Dynamite for him. He's good on the mic when they decide to put him on. His character, they got rid of the panda thing, which was a very good move. Yeah. And his, his ties to Jericho just made him look even better than what he really is. So yeah, Dynamite for him. Next up, the first man to pin Chris Jericho in AEW, Scorpio Sky.
Yep.
Another guy that, he's a tag team wrestler first and foremost. But I mean, the guy was a number one contender for the AEW championship. Had a good match, is a good promo. I might put him at Dynamite.
I think that he's a guy that we want to consider putting at Dark, only because, yes, what he did do was impressive. The promos he cut with Jericho were very good. The match he had with Jericho was good, but it was such a small
sample
set.
So yeah, maybe Dark is right.
Yeah, I actually think that he can be one of their bigger stars. I think that this year, if they wanted to push him as like a top tier singles competitor, that he'd be great in that role. But I don't know. You want to base that only off a few weeks of TV where he's really been pushed as a singles competitor. I think Dark is a good spot for him because the talent's there, but he's not performed. He hasn't done it for long enough, I think.
With that said, I'll agree with you. I think there's definitely more to Scorpio Sky that we need to see maybe before I definitely say Dynamite. But I guess for now, we'll put him at Dark with the potential of being Dynamite or even Elite.
Yep.
We'll see what happens in 2020. I'm very excited to see what happens with Scorpio Sky. Next up, the chairman, Shawn Spears. This guy, this is one of those examples where, someone leaves WWE. They're like, oh my God, he's going to do so much better in AEW. And he just hasn't.
He took a freaking stunner from Tony Khan last week after the show went off the air. So... I mean, if that's any indication of what they actually have planned for him in AEW in comparison to what he did in WWE, to me, this is a guy that, he got a lot of attention, he got a lot of buzz because people felt like AEW was a good landing spot for him because they'd be able to do things beyond what he was able to accomplish in WWE. I haven't seen anything in WWE or in his time in AEW that leads me to believe he's anything other than like an upper mid-card guy. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. I mean, things change in wrestling on a week-to-week basis. Next week, he could go out there, cut a huge promo, say the right thing, and he could be the biggest thing in the wrestling industry. It literally happens that fast.
Yeah.
Now, I think that he's okay. I think that he hasn't done a whole lot in AEW. He hasn't really been pushed too strongly. He had that short-lived feud with Cody Rhodes. I mean, they've given him the chairman gimmick, which they haven't really done much with it. I mean, he's got Tully Blanchard, and
his stuff before All Out was at least a Dynamite or even Elite level.
Yep,
but
I agree.
After that match and having Cody go over on Shawn Spears has really derailed his momentum to where he's like, okay. And even like to the point where if Tony Khan is stunnering him after the show, could we even put him at Undesirable?
I don't think he's undesirable. It's not like when he comes on, I'm like, damn, I don't want to watch this match. I think that the talent's there. I think that, and I talked about this months ago when we first reviewed his match with Cody. Like, to me, the whole chairman thing, it's like a gimmick that they kind of came up with that he's trying to act that persona, but that's not who he really is. Like,
yeah,
I feel like it's very forced, like his heel persona. I don't know. I mean, he's doing all the right things. He's saying all the right things to be a top heel, but
they just,
I mean, you could clearly see a distinction between him and MJF. Like MJF is lights out a heel. He lives the part. With Shawn Spears, he's saying all the right things. He's walking the right way. He's talking the right way. He's with Tully Blanchard. There's just something not clicking.
Yeah.
He's okay.
This one is probably the hardest to go with because like there's just been so many levels of Shawn Spears.
Let me put it to you this way. Had he not been in WWE and he debuted in AEW and he was the same guy and all of that stuff, how would you feel about it? You're basing this solely on the fact that he came from WWE, which right now is the biggest professional wrestling company in the world. So does that hold a little bit of weight or does that sway your opinion? Probably, because we're probably thinking to ourselves, well, he came from WWE, he has to be good, but what he did in WWE, the Perfect 10 character, probably was more over than whatever he's doing right now in AEW, if you ask me.
True. I think, maybe we need to go okay with Shawn Spears. So, Shawn Spears, okay. Next up, Sonny Kiss.
I haven't really seen...
He hasn't... Sonny Kiss, the only time I've seen him on Dynamite was in the
Battle Royal.
The Battle Royal.
He was twerking
with Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
The only time I've seen him, because I don't really watch Dark too much. So I know he does a lot of matches on Dark. So I still need to see him and see what this character is. And, I think he could tap to an audience. But I don't know how high his ceiling really is with what he does right now.
Yeah.
There's obviously going to be limitations. There's obviously going to be some controversy behind Sonny Kiss, whether that's brought upon himself or just, the world as we know it, society as it is. That's not entirely his fault. So I think we need to see what he could do in the ring, what he could do in an actual storyline before we could say he's undesirable. Or
I wouldn't put him at undesirable.
I don't know if he's undesirable yet. I would put him at Dark for now.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they're just going to use him as a jobber, if they have plans to use him as a mid-carder, or, you know what, we're going to, give this guy a push and see if we could tap to that niche audience. I don't know. So Dark for now for Sonny Kiss.
I agree. Yeah.
Last up is Trent Beretta. Trent, to me, has a lot of potential. This is a guy who I think, with the best friends, is the Shawn Michaels to Chucky T being the Marty Jannetty. I really do. This guy has the look. He's got a great in-ring ability. I don't know what I've seen. He hasn't done much on the mic to really say he is going to be the next Shawn Michaels.
Right.
But that dynamic is definitely there.
Yeah. He passes the eye test. When he walks in the ring, when he walks into the arena with him and Chucky T, I mean, it's obvious who the fans are going to be gravitate towards, oh, that guy's a professional wrestler. That guy looks the part, he acts the part, all that type of stuff. But again, very small sample set. I think that he can be pushed as a top tier or mid to upper card guy. It's just a matter of what they have planned for him.
Yeah.
So you're thinking Dark, I imagine?
I would say Dynamite.
Dynamite.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there. I don't need too much. I could see him. I've seen matches with him. I think he's at a Dynamite level. But as a singles wrestler, maybe it is Dark because we haven't seen enough of him to really say that. I guess if we're gonna put Scorpio Sky in Dark, we got to put Trent in Dark because they're, I think, that the same level.
Yeah,
they're probably the best in their respective tag teams. And can be good at a singles level. We just haven't seen enough of it yet.
Exactly. The potential is there. I just want to see them tap into that potential and give them an opportunity for a big feud somewhere and see what happens. Scorpio Sky, same thing. And that's why I was critical of Kenny Omega, because we're not basing this solely on, the potential. It's based on what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
So I think that Dark, I want to see more from Trent as a singles competitor.
Yeah.
Before I can make a determination of, if he's going to excel as a singles competitor.
Right. All right. So Dark for him. And that's going to be it for the singles wrestlers. Up next, we're going to do the women, and that thumbnail will be on the screen when that goes live. If not, you could check out my review of AEW Dynamite and NXT last week. You can hit the logo to subscribe, hit that bell for notification for news, reviews, and unbiased conversations. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Squared Circle Psychobabble.